Also, the farmer is very unduly criticized, just out of ignorance, from people who have no association with it. I've heard repeatedly today, and it's true, that the frustration comes when we have a disaster, whether it be a drought or a tornado or a flood or whatever. Papers come out, disaster plan approved by Congress, or the governor declares the area a disaster area, the president approves it, and everybody expects that the farmer just automatically starts getting it. This county and this area has been declared a disaster area from a drought now for a month. Nobody's got a penny yet. Then many areas of the economy that would normally participate aren't even taking applications. We talked to the Farmers Home Administration. They've had several inquiries and no applications yet. They haven't even formulated the rules in Washington for SBA and FHA and how to handle this disaster program that's already a month old. So you know and I know that things are not quite as rosy as the papers would have us believe when they announce disaster program announced and approved and think that automatically everything's all right, because it's not. But we'll continue to work to see that it is all right.
Have you been hit very severely by the drought?
Yes, I have. The corn, I've already dished it under. The worms ate it up, so I just went ahead and dished it under. I bought irrigation for my peanuts.
Have you applied for any federal aid at all?
Yes, I applied for it, but it's the way it is. If you can borrow money anyplace else, then you can't get it. And almost anybody can borrow money anyplace else, so it's hard to get.
Did you more or less agree with what Congressman Dickinson had to say about the aid?
Yes, I do. It sure was. That government's a mess. It sure is.
And I'd like to submit the rest of it. I don't think he can accept a pension from a company that he's regulating, because he has the full authority as insurance commissioner of the state of Alabama to regulate insurance companies. And how can he regulate someone that he's getting paid by?
Well, as I think the facts point out, he really isn't getting paid by that company. These funds were contributed to a trust which is operated, over which he has no control, nor does the company, on the basis of his service in the insurance industry and the company which he served. He has no control over it. He can't determine whether it goes up or down on the basis of anything he might do or any decision he might render.
He could waive it until he gets out of office, and that'd be very simple, or he could contribute it to charity.
But the law does not require that. That's right. The ethics law does not require that.
Well, then if it doesn't, then there's nothing I can do about it. I'm telling you what it is. And there's some members in that department that have taken emoluments, and I've checked them out.
If we get into it, I don't propose to get. I don't want to have my personal litigation and differences with you. Those matters have been litigated, and it's various producers and operators. Various locations. At the, and we haul wherever they need it. Haul through 4
Now, it's your contention that you have no personal or private interest in any bill that would affect Alabama Power Company. That is correct. Absolutely correct. We talked about the prices a while ago. When coal in '74 went up to $40 or $50 a ton, we still got $4 a ton for hauling. As the market started slowing up, and it's back to 20, whatever it is now, 20 or 25, we're still getting $4 a ton.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. And of course, I just saw your great Alabama baseball hero Joey Sewell at Cooperstown when he's inducted in the Hall of Fame. Got a nice dry night tonight, and I'm looking to throw my best fastball, which is now with the energy crisis. I'm only throwing 55, so we'll have a lot of fun. Well, I don't think the White Sox are going to do it. As much as I like to see my former teammate Bob Lemon, their manager, and Bill Veeck, former owner of the Indians, win, I think it's between the Rangers and Minnesota. And if I'd have to make a choice, I would say Minnesota, but that's a kind of guessing the weather in West Texas. You're either a fool or a newcomer. I'm pulling for the Red Sox because my wife has a Red Sox button. I wanted to buy her a new one, but of course last year she got a Yankee button being an American leaguer. But I really think the Red Sox are going to do it because they can win on the road as well as at home, which they didn't used to do. But it certainly is a toss-up, and it's some great races going on, with the exception, of course, in the National League West. I think they've been doing a great job in the major leagues. I'd like to see them do a little better in the minor leagues. I've been making a tour about 90 cities this year throughout the country, and I'm on my way now to the Northwest, to Seattle, Portland, and so forth tonight. But baseball is doing a great job in amateur ball, colleges, and in the minor leagues, and still a great American pastime, and I'm doing as much to promote as I can, and gave me a great deal. And I'm looking forward to promote it tonight right here in Montgomery. I have autographed pictures for everybody, and I want to pitch against you news media fellas and have a little fun. No curves, just my mediocre. Yeah, I'm going to throw it right down the pipe and duck. I think there's too many people in the Big Apple talking too much too much. I think if they pay attention between the two white lines and try to steal a headline to the local papers, the news media, the guys that are like Martin and Gabe Paul and owner Steinbrenner from Cleveland, they're all talking too much, and it has disrupted the ball team completely. They have a lot of talent in a ball club. They should win. They should win in a walk. I don't think they're going to do it, and I also expect Billy to have all kinds of problems for another year with the contract, if not before. I think he may be out before the season's over if they don't show some improvement any day now. I expect to pick up a paper and Billy's on his way. How many pitches? Same amount. There's no difference. They got different names for the different pitches. I threw sliders, fastballs, curves. Threw a sinker later in my career. Pitches are all the same, just different names to them. A lot of propaganda put on the fact that you have to have different pitches. Maybe all the pitchers have all the pitches now, but they don't have the stamina. No way do they have the stamina. Go 9 innings consistently in hot weather, but there are some fine pitchers. The biggest thing now, of course, is baseball's more show business, but the fundamentals are still the same. There's some good ball players. There are going to be some more of them, not enough of them, though. I'm going to be all loosened up, and I promise I'll get the ball over, and you won't even have to wear a helmet, because if I hit you, you won't have to rub. My pleasure. Okay. Okay, Phil.
No comment.
No more belongs in here than you do. We came from political unknown ship to Congress in 6 months and then have this happen. But like where we're from, there's a saying that when you play in the big leagues, they play hardball. The ball hit us.
Does the former congressman, feel like he may not be alone in a situation like this, that there are others that should probably have suffered the circumstance that he's undergoing?
I don't think he'd want anybody to suffer what's been done to him, but it's a political situation. It's not a crime or a criminal situation. I think he's there's only one person been prosecuted under the election law. Some district court judges across the United States have held it unconstitutional. Some other judges have felt that what was done to us and the manner it was done shouldn't be done. In Oregon, there's a case exactly like ours that a district judge in Oregon dismissed. We filed a motion to dismiss in New Orleans, but the judge didn't see it that way. The exact case, the same circumstances in Oregon, the district judge dismissed the case.
It was my understanding that he said that he will run for Congress again after he gets through this.
I don't know if he said that, but I know him. He's going to run for something. There's few congressmen sitting in Congress today with his talent.
But can he run, though, having prison record?
He's been convicted. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor. That's not exactly a prison record. The judge has placed him on 3 years probation. That means he can't run for office for 3 years, but we intend to attempt to do something about that.
Is there anything ironic in your estimation of him having served in the same prison with John Mitchell?
Nothing. Mitchell's a Republican. If we had to pick some place, we'd pick a Democratic place. The congressman's not fond of Republicans.
Yeah, right.
The biggest dealers in that camp came out of A031.
Do you know where he'll be staying?
One of the 7 dormitories. We have 334 men now, and not too many vacancies, so wherever we have an empty bed, he will be assigned.
When will he be notified what he'll be doing here?
Probably a week and a half.
What type of procedure will he have to go through before he finds out what he'll be doing?
We will be giving him physical exams and x-rays, and be talking with his caseworker, and the actual time of assignment will, much of the assignment is based on where we need men, whether it's in the mechanical service or in a clerical capacity. He probably will not be working on base like many of our people are, because of the fact that he is a public figure.
When Tonray reported today, he became the 336th resident of this federal prison camp. Under his type sentencing, the former congressman is required to serve the full year term. He receives 5 days off for statutory good time and 3 days off per month for camp good time. Tonry could be released from this federal prison camp in 9 months. From the federal prison camp at Maxwell Air Force Base, George Mitchell, WSFA TV News.
Well, when we got the alarm, it looked like that back window there, you know, smoke coming out. And that's all I know. And then, of course, it spread. I'm sure it spread from maybe a bed on fire or something like that.
There's no real indication as to the cause right now?
No, that's the only thing I know it could have caused it. Just something that maybe got a bed of fire, probably.
What about the dead man? Do you know who he is?
Well, Mr. Jones. I believe it's Harvey Lee Jones.
Was he a resident of the hotel?
Well, that's true. He lived here, and there's a bunch of those fellows that lived here.
What about the injured man?
The injured man, I think he was just civilian, probably. And I believe he said there was 7 firemen mistreated from this scene here.
the conference is an affiliate. Based on Governor Wallace's statements on national television and radio, it is our opinion, based on his call of a press conference to announce an affirmative action program to urge upon his subordinates an affirmative action program for their departments, that his public statements and his announced actions are two different things. And it makes the black community wonder, which is the real George Wallace? What he publicly states or what he does by his actions? We would hope that our governor would, in his effort to change his image, would make his actions speak just as loud as his words.
This has been an effort that the Board of Commissioners and the housing and urban development officials out of Birmingham have been trying to agree on for a long time, for probably as long as maybe 5 years. However, the decision to vacate the project was made about a year and a half ago, just because of the condition of the units with the broke footings and foundation, opening the porous walls and things, letting water come into the units. We vacated the project then and moved the residents into other units in the housing project, and then renewed our efforts to try to get a concurrence between HUD and our Board of Commissioners to tear the project down, and we're just now getting together on that, getting that done.
Any speculation as to what the land will be used for once the project is cleared away?
We have applied to the Planning Commission for the rezoning of the property to R65S, and I imagine that the board will see fit to sell that to the highest bidder.
Now that means single-family dwelling, right?
Yes, that's right. Uh-huh.
You're gonna have this. Looks like the unit is closed down about 20 years ago. That one never built. That's what he was saying.
Of the board. Therefore, I responded to the question, no, I would take no action until an official position of the board had been established. Having no official position, I took no action.
Taxes, which they don't pay for their housing projects, for certain services to be provided by the city. What
the call sheets, we will see that that is a tremendous number of the calls that we respond to. Is police protection in the projects. You will find that fire protection is also on that list, and that there's
city code. Whether we are requested or not, do we not have the right to go in there and find out whether or not they are violating the laws of the city of Montgomery?
I just don't know whether we got the right to go up and tell the federal judge in the courthouse that he's violating the federal code, a fire code up there. I don't think I'm gonna do it. But the same proposition would hold true with a federal housing project. My answer to you, sir, is when they ask me as an official board action, I'll tend to.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I'm
that the eligibility of the fire equipment was clearly established by a copy of the letter, all of which every councilman has, that the sanitation equipment proposed is eligible by a letter over the signature of Mr. Brown from the Housing and Urban Development. That takes care of that. In addition to that, the council does not certify that the projects are within the guidelines. The mayor of the city of Montgomery by law has to do that, and I'm prepared to do so because I have checked it out and all the projects are eligible. Witness the fact that the exhibits say that they're eligible. Also, the Citizen Participation Group made the recommendation to the council unanimously, by a vote of unanimous membership, that these projects go forward. Last week, I had the staff available here to explain the need for fire equipment, sanitation equipment. They're still here if anybody needs to talk to them.
Mayor, the city council, all have an obligation to all of Montgomery. It's not any council member's responsibility to propose things for all of Montgomery. It's the chief executive's responsibility, and he has an obligation to go over the city and look at the needs. He represents everybody. We represent one district, but the mayor represents everybody. And I ask anybody here, can anyone say that we have met the needs based on what Congress intended? And the last vote, council, has not been taken tonight. You can go, I'm through, but you can vote. But the last vote hasn't been taken.
Ms. Williamson?
Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
Ms. Williams, I would...
It will take our equipment needs for the fire service divisions of this city. Briefly, the reason that this budget is large is basically threefold. One, inflation. Two, deferred equipment purchases and deferred maintenance. Three, increase in debt service in the year 1976. We all know about inflation. It is a daily fact of life in our household budgets. It is true with our city budget as well. Fire service divisions, but if we don't get that funding, we must deal with this particular thing. Those of you who remember also that the emergency that was created to see that the taxpayers get a dollar's worth of service.
You got it, Judge? Now you don't have it.
Back in there. Yeah. Right there, huh? Oh, at the bottom.
All right. Let me tell.
Uh-oh.
Good morning.
Hi, Judge. Can I talk to you for just a moment?
Well,
Very
not
briefly.
about the appointment. I'm not going to make any statement about the
You're not
appointment until after the president's official announcement.
Okay.
I'll talk with you sometime later.
All right, sir. Nothing about plans to move to Washington?
Oh,
or
no.
to...
Oh, no. It would be presumptuous of me to start making statements about it until there is an official announcement.
Well, can we ask you then, you have been approached by Washington then, as far as the job is concerned?
Well, you all told me last night on television that it had been confirmed.
Right. Well, we're asking you to confirm that this morning.
I'm not going to talk with you about it until after there is an official announcement.
Okay.
Courtesy and protocol and just common sense requires that I take that position.
Do you have plans for a formal news conference here in Montgomery?
Yes, but I don't know when. Probably not today.
Okay. Fine. Thank you, Judge.
Nice to see you.
Nice.
We'll check with you a little later.
She didn't even have my mom.
I think it's a great day for law enforcement in this country, and I think this community and this state has been honored by President Carter's choice. To say that Judge Johnson is qualified would be a complete understatement. He is overly qualified and thoroughly honest, and I respect and admire him, and I'm just so pleased that he was appointed.
Have you had a chance to talk with the judge since this happened?
I spoke with the judge briefly. We did not talk about the nomination, his appointment. We talked to him about other things.
but I have spoken with him, yes. What do you think is going to be the reaction in Washington to another Southerner up there?
Well, obviously, Judge Johnson has a national reputation for his integrity, and I think he'll be well received, and I think President Carter knows that, and I think it's a feather in President Carter's cap that he would pick that, the judge for that position. I think he knew that, and I think he wants to, President Carter wants to do something in law enforcement in this country. I think he wants to build law enforcement and build the credibility of it, and I think that's why his choice was Judge Johnson.
Military community. I think that's one of the things we'll miss the most, because we've had people from 50 states come in and out of Selma and bring their thoughts, their attitudes, and be part of the community. The economic factor will work itself out in the next 1.5 to 3 years, but we hate losing out on being a military community, because it was like part of your city, but nevertheless it has happened. And
well, there's a little nostalgia involved in the last of anything. The community of Selma have been supporting the Air Force out here at Craig for some 37 years. Over 11,000 graduates with Silver Wings, and when that comes to an end, there's sort of a sad day. But it's every ending has a beginning. Just as these young men who got their wings today, it's the beginning of a new stage in their life.
Well, it hurts a little, because it's been a pretty good year. I had an enjoyable year flying, T-38, T-37. Pilot training is a lot of fun, hard work, but it's a type of hard work that, I had to smile and sit back with satisfaction when it gets through, and it's been a good year,
It hasn't really sunk in until today, I guess, that I actually would be sometimes defending the nation with, the freedom aspects a lot of people take for granted, and I guess that really became serious to me today. I really realized that, hey, you may be putting your life on the line, and I had made that decision. I was kind of happy it turned out the way it did.
Today's graduation also stood for the end of Craig's mission. Behind me is the last official aircraft to utilize this base's runway. Soon an exodus of personnel will begin, now that there is nothing left to do here but tie up loose ends. The 18th of this month, city officials will escort potential future users through this soon-to-be abandoned facility as the struggle between local government and federal bureaucracy continues, so that the end of an era in Selma can be made as smooth as possible. Bill Weaver, WSFA TV News, Craig Air Force Base in Selma.
I believe it will be resolved in the 70s. And the issue that I'm challenging right now is to stop any further anti-God, not movements, but withdrawings of our freedoms, like she wants to take In God We Trust from the money. That will never happen. She wants to take One Nation Under God from the Pledge of Allegiance. That will never happen. She wants to take everything it has to do with God away from the country. Now, I believe in separation of church and state, but I don't believe in separating God from the people who are in the state. And I also believe with public sentiment we can reverse the Supreme Court decision and make prayer and Bible optional in school. And everywhere she files a suit, I'm going to file a counter suit. And as long as God's people speak up, the other crowd won't have a chance.
The Red Sox nominee for most valuable